This is a powerful week with not that many transits, but everything that's happening is important. And as always, we'll walk through what it is that we most need to know to navigate the energies of this week. And by the end, even though the full moon in Leo isn't going to take place until next week, I will be giving a little preview of what that holds for us since it lands right on Sunday. So we're going to be discussing the transits taking place between January the 25th through to the 31st. And we start off the week on a pretty big note. Neptune is officially done with its time in Pisces, and it is now going towards Aries again. We had a preview of this last year in 2025 where both Neptune and Saturn dipped their toes into Aries for a bit over the summertime and then retrograded back into Pisces for one final dreamy, compassionate, flowy moment in time. But now that it's back in Aries, we can think back to what was it that changed in our life back over the summertime that really impacted our compassion and what we were romanticizing and idealizing in our lives. What did we notice as a theme in the external world around what we are putting up on a pedestal almost, but also visualizing for the future or dreaming of accomplishing? Neptune is a planet that is confusion, is also dreams, is visions, is the untangible, etheric, murky fog that settles into our life for better, for worse, in whatever area of a chart it's entering into. And so going into Aries, there might be a sense of confusion or dreaminess or romanticization around these Aries themes of action, leadership, leading others and yourself, what we are aggressive towards. There might be a lull in our capacity to take action as Neptune destabilizes a little bit the atmosphere that we're in. It can be really helpful in the sense that we are building up new dreams and new visions for the future. It can be very helpful in giving us a new perspective into what drives us and where our drive comes from. And on a very practical level, taking action might just be a little bit more difficult as we are evaluating where our moves come from and if this impacts leaders on a level where we are just witnessing them be delirious or confused, or there is a level of cloudiness in the air, and I say leaders because Aries loves to lead, then know that this is Neptune's fog starting to go into the landscape. And like I said, it was here last year. So whatever area of your chart that you have Aries, reflect on if there were any moments in 2025, namely in the summertime onwards up until Neptune went back into Pisces, where things felt a little bit confusing, or maybe you felt a little bit more spacey, or in the realms of imagining and fantasy, but having a bit of a harder time in moving towards a thing. And reflect on how it is that you overcame that, or what it is you wish that you would have done differently. And now that we're here again, you can apply that. So that sneak peek helps us to have the time to reflect, go inwards. That's the retrograde back into Pisces that Neptune was in. And now that it's back into Aries, okay, how can I now move from a little bit more clarity with a planet that likes to bend light and bend information and bend reality as much as it can. If you find that you are romanticizing certain actions or certain movements for the future or for your reality, ask yourself, why am I romanticizing this? That could be helpful in the sense that it can light a new fire within you for you to move forward in a new way. Or it could steer you a little bit off path if it's not grounded in your values and if it's ultimately losing the plot. So that's Sunday. Neptune is officially in Aries, which means that it is now by whole sign house sextiling everything that is in Aquarius. And that includes Pluto, the Sun, Venus, Mercury, the Moon. When it traverses through Aquario, it's going to be in that sextile. So that can make for a bit of a constructive energy when incorporating these Neptunian themes, where we are incorporating our visionary ideas, our leading edge ideas into how we connect with community or connect with others. But it also has the potential for some cloudiness to arise. So just keep that in mind. And forgive me, I said that that was happening on Sunday. It's actually on Monday, the 26th. It wouldn't be a Neptune transit if I didn't get the information wrong just a little bit. But onwards and forwards. On Tuesday, the 27th, we have Mars in Aquario making a conjunction to Pluto in Aquario. And this signature has the high potential for violent uprising in regards to power imbalances and manipulation of information and technology. This can be super minor for you on a personal level. Maybe you are having a really deep realization about your information systems in your life, and you might be a little bit more combative or aggressive, or move in a little bit of a more purposeful way in your personal dealings on a collective level, in the news, in the world, in our communities. As we've been seeing over the last few weeks, energies ramping up as we highlight what it is that we don't want in our reality and fight for what we do want. This signature really encapsulates that now that Mars has entered Aquario. And in this conjunction to Pluto at 3 degrees of Aquarius, it's likely going to reach a point of heightened tension. We're going to be asked to go deep, expect information, communication technology, and communities to be at the center of a conversation or a theme at this time. And with the energies of Mars, Mars is very act now, apologize later, ask questions later. It goes after the thing that it wants, even if it's in a different way, even if it is in a way that is a bit radical or out of the ordinary. So with Pluto themes, expect that it is very cathartic, catalyzing, and dark, quite frankly. So on this day, I would recommend that you move with a lot of intention, move with a lot of purpose, and be very clear in your dealings, be very clear in your communications. This is also a day to do something very powerful for yourself or for others. Tuesday, the 27th, is quite interesting. If you have 3 degrees of any of the fixed signs, you will feel this a bit more acutely. So Aquario, Scorpio, Tauro, and Leo. Just something to keep in mind on a personal perspective. Then on Thursday the 29th, we have Mercury in Aquario making a conjunction to Venus. This is happening at 14 degrees, and this is an amplification of femme and queer and trans voices at this time. In this state that we find ourselves in on a collective level, at the forefront of our movements, you will find people that are most immediately impacted: the queer community, women, Black and brown people, and of course, that is not the bulk of it all, but that is often the way in which a lot of the momentum goes forward. It is through these people in our community. So pay attention to the messages that are coming through around these Venus themes, or women, or queer people, or trans people, anything having to do with finances, love, energies of the feminine. I don't like to really use the language of like divine feminine, divine masculine, but of just the feminine energies that are in the world right now. And what is it that they are saying, and how are they catalyzing all of the people that this message reaches? How is it waking up something dormant within you and within others? These messages are powerful because, again, Pluto is here. This is an Aquario. It seldom is just about you. It's often about the entirety of consciousness, the entirety of the community or the world. And this can be a moment where there's just a very powerful communication that comes through. It can also be a good time to maybe establish better boundaries with yourself or with others, or with technology, even with AI. There is a big push right now, and there has been a big push to not engage with AI because it's harmful. And I will be totally honest, I was using it for a second and then I realized this is stupid. I don't need it. And what are you watching on your algorithm that is AI generated? Do you entertain it? Do you skip past it? Do you use AI services? If you do use an AI service, is it giving back to the environment in some way? Oh gosh, I wish I remembered the name, but there is an AI service that I heard about that every time you use it, they like plant trees. If you know what I'm talking about, please feel free to comment it down below because I meant to look into it and I just totally forgot. So, we are redefining what our relationship is with this very new thing, which is artificial intelligence and the way in which it is shaping our own cognition and our way of understanding the world. So this can also be a theme for today. And that's it. Then the week goes into the full moon, which happens on Sunday. And because my Starot talks cover Sunday to Saturday, really on the heels of this is that lunation. So I want to give a very quick delineation for it. This full moon in Leo is happening at 13 degrees. This lunation is making a trine to Neptune and Aries, freshly ingressed. It is also in an opposition to Pluto, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, and squaring Uranus and Tauro. This is going to be a very dramatic and a very loud full moon. Leos are always given this title of dramatic and theatrical antics, but it's not for nothing. They have such a life and such a passion for life that it's just who they are. It's just their life. If you have a Leo natal moon, then you are someone who naturally radiates your essence very proudly. You're very proud of who you are and you want to always share your light and gain the recognition that you deserve. You like your flowers fresh. You like your flowers when you can smell them, just like every other sign, right? But especially Leo. This lunation is going to be loud. It's going to be dramatic. Saturn is the only planet that's not an aspect to this full moon, but because it's in an opposition to Aquario, which is a sign that is ruled by Saturn, it's still involved. So we look to Saturn here to see the condition of this lunation and the condition of all of the other planets that are currently in Aquario. Saturn is in Pisces, and it looks to Jupiter because Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces, and Jupiter is exalted in the sky. Big shout out to Jupiter because it has been holding things together in its exaltation in Cancer more than we realize. It kind of like ping pongs a little bit with the energies here, but expect a lunation that might be very electric, very intense, and very catalyzing. Absolutely use this to hone in on your power, hone in on what makes you feel alive and in your essence and with a flair for life and what you're passionate about. And relationships are going to be a pretty key focus here as it is going to most immediately be in an opposition to Mars and Venus and its opposition to the Sun as well. So there might just be a level of like passion and even hot-headedness potentially in our relationships at this time. There's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of feeling, and so tune into what it means for you to channel that in a way that is artistic and creative and beautiful and with a fire that not only warms you in this very cold season, but brings warmth to others and inspires others. That's just a little bit of a sneak peek for you to prepare for this lunation on the 1st of February. And with that, we're going to draw a card now to see what it is that we most need to know for this week. We have the Hanged Man, and anytime that the Hanged Man comes through, it feels like a card of hope. Just when you think that you've seen something from every possible perspective, there is a new piece of information or insight that is just waiting for you to discover it, to see everything in a completely new light. This man is very clearly enlightened. This person very clearly willing to see things in a different light as they have this sort of sun around their head. But it took a bit of work to get to that. And so with the sun currently in Aquario. The sun doesn't really like to be in Aquario. It struggles a little bit here since it's all about the identity and the self and your own experience. And Aquario is so much about for the people and for others. This might be a card that encourages us to think not just about ourselves, but about others too, in order for us to learn more about ourselves in that process. Might seem a little bit counterintuitive, but I mean, you can see how that makes sense from that different lens, from that different perspective. This is a card that encourages us to think outside of the box and to think in ways that are probably a bit different for us, but ultimately can help give us so much more information in a situation that seems stagnant or like it has no solution. So that's the message for the week. This was a fast one because, again, not a lot happening, but everything is pretty important, pretty big, as always. And I encourage you to continue to ground and tune in and connect with yourself. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And we'll see you next week to talk about the astrology for the first week of February. If you are interested in doing a one-to-one consultation with me, please feel free to visit auriestelares.net, and I would love to connect with you further. Until then, I am sending you so much magic, so much love, and I will see you in the next one. Cuídense.